What's up? So I'm just quickly gonna go over the things that I'm gonna cover, and that is how to draw her face, and without getting too much into complication. I've already just marked a few areas on her face so that we don't. That is how to draw her face. So yeah, that was my feedback with another device. So yeah. So what I'd like to do is say mark all the dark areas that you can see over here, and just follow the basic shape of that entire block of dark, or the form that it's following, and create the same kind of environment over here with just marking the basic areas that I find that are important for this composition. I just wanted everyone to see the printout that I have. I've just kept it too nearby, and there's another screen that I'm looking at, and yeah, here we go. So I'm just marking the right side of her hair on her forehead, and I think we can make the eyebrow right from here, and here. So basically these are just the marks that I'm gonna be following throughout the drawing. I'm not gonna mark these eyes for now. I'm just gonna start with one eye and see where to go. Hello, what's up guys? Thank you for joining in. What's up everyone? What we're gonna do is we're gonna start real light. So either ways, if we go wrong, we can just go over it, and so you can see this dark shade, and I'm gonna follow this over here. This gonna create the same amount, the same width of darkness, and leave it there, and follow this part, the upper eyelid area, and I'm just gonna put a little dark tone over here and leave it. It's sort of an what's it called? I try to evolve it out of shapes and shadows, and the best way to keep doing it is to keep the printout or the reference nearby, so that the eye-hand coordination is, I think it's way easier if the subject isn't too far away. Alright, so we're gonna mark the next eye now. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining in guys, and I hope you like my drawings. Please do look at my other videos, the live streams that I do regularly. So I think we have this another eye. We're just gonna mark the shapes right now. We're not gonna do any sort of detailing. so that if we have gone wrong somewhere, we can always come back and edit it. So we're going to concentrate more on the drawing side rather the shading, at this point at least. I'm just following the shadows to take out the nose. Don't worry if something looks out of proportion right now. We're just following the shadows and giving the basic marks that we need. If you just keep on following the shadows, the forms appear, and from there you can take it further, but you don't need to shade it before uh, drawing, I think, because you can really mess that up. I strongly believe a good drawing without any sort of shading, but a bad drawing with a lot of great shading. So I'd rather do a good drawing without shading. I think we're getting her face right. I hope we are getting her right. Look, I marked this over here, but I'm gonna go below this now. I think I've extended her face a bit, but never mind. So if at any point you think you've messed up your drawing, you just need to think over and draw over it. Because we're drawing it so lightly right now, we can always go on top of it and change. So yeah, let's put her cornea. I'm gonna use another darkest pencil, maybe another graphite, or this one's F, and I'm just using it to keep everything light. I hope we get our features right. Whenever I'm drawing, it's a portrait, that's the most difficult thing, and because see, if you're drawing anyone who just looks at your drawing, a portrait, they can tell if it resembles or not. You don't need a master to tell you if your drawing doesn't look like your subject. So please spare me if my drawing doesn't look like Wednesday, but I'm trying my best. So usually with images like high contrast as this one, what happens is, if you don't do the shading right, uh, proportions change on face. So yeah, you got to be very careful. If there aren't enough lines on the face and the character is younger, or like a kid or a child, or a young girl or a young guy, so they tend to have softer skin, so there are lesser lines, more of what's it called, more of the soft flesh and skin. So the only way to make flesh and skin in a dark environment like this, where it's a single source of light, where and there's another thing, that these kind of drawings are easier to make because you see a lot of shadows and you can follow that. So yeah, most of that thing you can achieve only by doing the right light and shade. If you don't do it right, it won't resemble, it look like someone else. So if I don't do the form right, Wednesday might look like Saturday, or probably Sunday. Some of you might be thinking it still looks like a freaking Monday. Alright, so yeah. I think we're gonna in the right direction. Might need to change something a little around her chin, but I'm gonna use a darker pencil. Yes, I'm just following the shape right now. The shape and the shade. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this a little closer, so it might give you a better viewing. I think this is better. All right, let's do this. So I'm gonna talk a little less now so that I can concentrate more on this. But if you want to know anything, just leave a message and I'll reply to that. I don't want to mess the nose up. In fact, I don't want to mess anything up because with features so prominent as hers, even a little bit can mess up the resemblance. So you got to be very careful around here, I guess. Also, if you're a part in a drawing that you are not able to understand for a while, maybe at that point while you're drawing at that specific space, at that specific place, you should just leave it and try to go around it and make areas that are around it way more closer to the image, and you'll figure it out then. I try my best not to use a lot of eraser. I haven't used it yet, but however, eraser or no eraser, we just got to get her right. So again, I'm just following the shapes, uh, following the dark areas, trying to mark them as I can see, and trying to cover all the spaces as you can see on the reference or the subject. Just try to keep everything closely intact as in the picture or the reference. And don't put the darkest lines until you're sure. Just keep drawing real slow. If you're not sure, just don't draw. Think, observe more rather drawing. And I don't think drawing is too difficult. If you can observe more, and if you can just keep on observing. If you observe for 10 seconds, draw for 3 seconds. And don't worry about shading. Don't ever worry about shading. Shading is not important. Now, ironic that I'm saying while I'm doing the shading. I know that's kind of a bummer, but if you're shading to know the lines, that is perfectly fine. Because at times you can't tell where the line falls on the subject until you shade around it. So my process is usually like that, but I've seen everyone worrying about shading. No one should ever worry about shading. I say shading is something you can learn in 3 days if you practice day and night. I think drawing would take a lifetime. I've seen such amazing artists around me. I have some friends the masters of drawings, and I tell them, why don't you record all this? So everyone's lazy like me. I think all of the artist friends that I know. Say hello if you're lazy too. Alright, so I think we are gonna move to the lower eyelid now. I'm not gonna do the final detailing, as I'll see how much time do we have left to detail. But yeah, we want to get everything, all the necessary specific details right where we want, so that the drawing doesn't look incomplete. So it's really important that if you're detailing, if you're trying to finish a drawing and you want everything to be finished, that's up to you, but that is going to take forever. So what you can do is you can focus on one area of the drawing and make it focused, super focused, and you can leave the rest of the drawing lesser detailed. Because remember, it's not a photograph, it's a drawing done by an artist. If you want a perfect drawing, just ask AI. Oh, and also that the reference that I'm drawing from, I think that's AI. Is it, or is it a picture? I don't know. I took it from Pinterest. So yeah, it's really important to keep the reference as close as possible. That helps a lot in keeping that memory of that shape that you just saw, and the time your eye sees that empty paper where you have to draw. If that distance is just too much and you don't have that practice, then you're gonna definitely mess up like me. If you have ADHD, then certainly you're gonna mess up if your subject is far away, because you tend to concentrate on so many other things, and everything is a distraction. So that's the only reason I've kept this printout right smack in front of me. All right, so I think we are almost there, but not perfectly there. I think this eye looks a little wider than the other eye. I don't know, but I'll shade it and know. Yeah, I can make it right. So like I said, don't worry if there's something wrong with the drawing at whatever stage. If you're following the process, then you can control everything. Then don't need to worry. You just follow the process. And the process is you draw lightly first, and go dark as once you're sure. So I'm just following the shape over here. I'm just gonna fill this space with this amount of darkness. So I'm just gonna draw the shape and fill it up. I'm not worried about detailing it. Just wanna get this shape right. I really think to make errors part of your work is the most human thing in a drawing. So most of the time I let a lot of errors stay on a drawing to make it look, it's alright. I messed up, it's alright. Alright, so I'm using the 4B now. And if your drawing is right, you can still tell what shape this is without any sort of detailing. Just fill it up with dark tone and you're good to go. Unless you want to make it a super detailed drawing, it's just that you need a lifetime of energy and effort to produce a drawing that is super realistic. And details are not about skill, uh, they're more about how focused you are on achieving that effect with your drawing. So I think all those artists who tend to have lesser concentration, they don't want to, they get tired of their own work super easily. If there's a piece they can't finish for like 2-3 days, they'll just abandon the piece. Or there are like so many things, so many pieces around all of us, like we want to complete them. Yeah, sure, someday. Yeah, someday. So here's an experiment, like this won't look like Wednesday Addams, or this won't look like Wednesday Addams. Um, right, this will look like Wednesday Addams because you can see all these, but if you just see the lips, can you tell? No, maybe just the eyes, maybe, yeah. So it's always the shapes around that specific feature that makes the whole, like if I don't finish this top part and remove this, you still be able to tell it's Wednesday, maybe. But once I shove this entire thing dark, because the brain is associated with this much of hair, this much of forehead, her thick eyebrows. People with famous faces, you can't mess that up. People who are famous and everybody knows their face, you can't mess them up. Everyone's gonna say, no, that doesn't look like that doesn't look like her. And then you're gonna hate yourself for putting so much effort. So if you're not sure about a line, if you're not sure about a shape, some form, don't make it, just wait. Wait and try to draw around it. Try not to erase it. Try not to erase it and draw lightly. And try to cover that up with your drawing. I usually erase, that's okay. I'm just saying, try not to use. I haven't used eraser at all till now. I will. I want to. I so want to use eraser right now. And we're gonna let that feeling starve. There are so many times you draw an object or a person, then you come to know, oh, now I've seen this person, or now I've seen this object. There's so many things that you're missing looking at it every day. Until you draw it and you're looking at every micro millicentimeter. And then you're like, oh my god, I didn't know it had so much detail. I didn't know it had so much texture. Just like I didn't decide what to put detail in with this portrait. Now I know, my God, there's so much detail. If you are good at drawing and you're lazy like me, you'll always find a solution that has a shortcut. But no, don't try to, there's no advocacy and or for being lazy. I think I'll use Blender, a little Blender here and there. And the funny thing is, like, I never used Blender before, ever in my life. So recently I got my hands on one and I was like, let's see if I like it. So here I can see the darkest tones here and right smack on top of the other eyebrow. I also think I should make the eyelid darker so that the eyes recedes. So let's see, how long have we been doing this? Oh, it's been 33 minutes. All right. All right. So I'm gonna use a little blender now and see what's happening. I'm not gonna push the blender too hard because it'll just smack, kill the texture of paper. And what happens is, if that happens and you don't shade it right, your drawing will end up having only two tones, like maybe middle and the darker, or maybe the lightest and the darkest, because the blender has killed the texture from paper. And if you're not working with a very super expensive paper, you're just using some sort of ordinary cartridge or scotch. This paper that I'm using, it's just an ordinary, like, I think it's 180 grams cartridge, or some page out of sketchbook that's not even 180. I think it's 180 or 200. So just saying, hello, this virus. Where are you from, virus? Where are you from, bro? Right now you're at the US. Nice, very nice. That is super nice. Right, so let's give some sharp details now. I hope she looks like Wednesday on screen. Yeah, sort of she does. Sort of, right? Just a second, guys. Yeah. All right, let's do this. So I'm gonna just put the darkest now and try to give it all the detail that I want. I'm gonna use blended paper tone for the middle tone. I'm gonna darken her eyebrow. And these streams from this end are way darker compared to the top. You need a sharper pencil. So I'm gonna zoom in my drawing, sorry, my reference, and check. Just trying to be extra careful not to mess something up. So you don't have to be hasty about detailing. You got to be very kind and gotta give it all the attention that it requires, or it won't resemble. I think we are done with the nose. Alright, we're just trying to fix the camera. Alright, almost done with the lips. Let's do this eye. So the rest of the space is blended well, and on top of it, if you give some sort of texture, that space looks kind of more focused, as in here, as in here. I don't know if you can see this. So if you just texture it right here, smack here, it'll look as if the drawing is more focused, and it'll refer to the texture of skin. While you don't need to do that to the entire drawing, you can just give it some sort of texture at some point where you're thinking you do detail more, so that that space refers to the texture of the entire subject. There are these hints that you can give in a drawing. And that is just filling. We'll get to it later. It doesn't even matter if you fill this up or not. So I think I'm going to use a blender a little more. Um, should I bring this closer? Sometimes the camera comes in my view and I can't draw them. Let's try to. Hopefully this is better. Alright, so we are 56 minutes in, and I thought to do it for an hour. We are an hour up. I'll probably add a few more minutes. Alright, so I think we are done. I mean, I can still work on it for like 3 to 4 more hours, but I don't have that much time tonight. I really want to do a really long session of drawing live someday when I have more energy. So we are almost done, 60 minutes, and at least I can do work more for an hour more on this to give it all the details that it requires at this stage. But William de Kooning, a famous painter, he said an artwork never finishes, it only stops at interesting places. And I really think this is a super interesting place to stop. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a day then. Thank you so much for staying on my stream. Yeah, I think she resembles the lady, but I'll let you guys be the judge. So tell me what you guys think, huh? And I was looking from this reference and this reference, and I was reading the comments on this screen. So yeah, until next time, stay well and keep drawing. See you guys.